Welcome to the Chill Stoic, your sanctuary for inner peace amidst life's relentless currents. Have you ever felt your kindness exploited, your forgiveness dismissed, and your silence mistaken for an invitation to disrespect? We're often told that strength lies in boundless forgiveness, in always being the bigger person. But does unconditional generosity truly embody compassion, or is it merely surrender? Join us on the Chill Stoic as we unveil a profound truth. Sometimes, clear boundaries are the kindest act you can offer yourself. They lied, they humiliated you, and then they smiled as if nothing had happened. As if your silence made it acceptable, as if your patience signaled weakness. Yet, deep within, you knew the truth. They hadn't changed. They had simply grown accustomed to your lack of reaction. Perhaps for the longest time, you believed true strength meant endless forgiveness and understanding. But here lies the Stoic truth, often unspoken. Mercy without consequence isn't compassion at all. It's surrender. Some individuals simply don't grow through kindness alone. Their growth is forged through distance, through the unyielding weight of their own actions. If they never face the repercussions of what they've done, they will inevitably repeat the pattern, not just with you, but with others in their path. This isn't about revenge, it's about clarity, establishing firm boundaries, and upholding your inherent dignity. In this journey, we'll delve into 5 profound Stoic reasons why you must allow others to confront the consequences of their choices, free from guilt, anger, or the urge to look back. Because true peace isn't found in attempting to fix others, it's discovered in the profound act of finally choosing yourself. Reason 1. Forgiveness without remorse is self-erasure. You've witnessed it before. They lie to your face, shatter your trust, wound your very soul, only to return with a half-hearted apology, a nervous smile, and the sheer audacity to ask, "Can we just move on?" But here's a truth often overlooked. If someone only apologizes after being exposed, that isn't genuine remorse. That isn't genuine remorse. That reputation management, a truly remorseful individual, doesn't require prompting. They don't contend with your silence, rush your healing, or treat your boundaries as mere inconveniences. Instead, they sit in the discomfort of their actions. They accept that forgiveness isn't an automatic key to re-entry. They understand that regret, however deep, doesn't entitle them to return to your life. Yet we are immersed in a culture obsessed with premature forgiveness. Everywhere you turn, social media, sermons, self-help gurus, the mantra echoes, let it go, be the bigger person. Don't harbor hate in your heart. However, Stoicism doesn't demand hatred. It implores you to see with profound clarity, to recognize the monumental difference between cultivating inner peace and blindly reopening the gates to someone who remains unchanged. Let's be brutally honest. When you forgive someone who isn't truly sorry, who hasn't engaged in genuine self-reflection, who hasn't earned that second chance, you aren't healing. You are, in essence, erasing yourself. And what's more insidious? Every time you excuse the inexcusable, you impart a dangerous lesson. It worked. I can do it again. Dr. Gabor Mate, a renowned expert on trauma and addiction, often speaks to how repeated patterns of behavior, if not met with consequences, become ingrained pathways in the brain. It's not that they are inherently evil in some cartoonish sense. It's simply that their behavior yields desirable results for them. Why would they change? If betrayal still grants them access to your life, if manipulation continues to garner sympathy, if a simple apology is enough to reset everything, they are left with absolutely no incentive to evolve. Now, let's be clear, forgiveness is undeniably noble. It liberates you from the corrosive poison of resentment. But forgiveness does not and should not equate to reconnection, because reconnection without genuine change isn't healing, it's a profound act of self-betrayal. And if they utter phrases like, "Why are you being so cold? Didn't I say sorry? Can't we just go back to how things were?" That is your crucial cue to remember this fundamental truth. Trust, once shattered, is not restored on demand. It must be painstakingly rebuilt, brick by painful brick, or simply accepted as lost. The Stoic response is not yelling, not drama, not explosions. It is quiet clarity. You lied. I don't trust you. You disrespected me. I need distance. You crossed a line. I am drawing one now. You owe them no drawn-out conversation, no elaborate closure. You owe yourself peace. Because ultimately, you enforce consequences not to hurt them, but to finally stop hurting yourself. Let them believe you are heartless. Let them label you dramatic or unforgiving. That is perfectly fine, because only those who were comfortable disrespecting you will ever be offended by your firm boundaries. Reason 2. Patterns speak louder than words. Do not judge them by their apologies. Judge them by their consistent habits. Words are effortless. A single tear can be rehearsed. A sorry can be perfectly timed. But you know what never lies? Patterns. It's not the isolated mistake that truly defines a person. It's the repeated behavior they never seem to alter, no matter how many chances you graciously extend. Let's bring this into sharper focus. Perhaps you have a friend who consistently forgets your birthday, but always expects lavish gifts and undivided attention on theirs. Or a sibling who relentlessly cracks humiliating jokes about you at every family gathering, then dismisses it with a casual, "Relax, it was just a joke." Or a partner who endlessly promises to do better, yet somehow repeatedly crosses the exact same lines, always armed with a convenient excuse. Does this sound familiar? Initially, you conjure up excuses for them. They're just stressed. They didn't mean it. They're simply going through something. But deep within, a quiet, insistent voice begins to whisper, "This isn't a one-time occurrence. This is who they consistently choose to be, again and again." And here's the unsettling truth: they aren't slipping. They are meticulously strategizing, enough charm to reel you back in, just enough manufactured guilt to ensure you stay, just enough distraction to make you question your own innate instincts. It's akin to standing in what you perceive as a relentless downpour, only to glance up and realize someone is deliberately holding a hose over your head. Brené Brown, a research professor known for her work on vulnerability and courage, often highlights how our patterns of behavior reveal our true intentions, far more than our words. Consider the poignant story of Evelyn, a retired widow in her 70s. Gentle, thoughtful, the kind of woman who meticulously sent handwritten thank you notes. After her husband passed, her adult daughter began visiting more frequently. At first, it felt like a balm for her grief. The daughter helped with groceries, accompanied her to appointments, and called daily. Evelyn considered it a blessing. But then came the subtle hints: how challenging things were lately, how much she was sacrificing to help. Then, the requests for favors. "Could you help with the phone bill this month? Would you mind putting this on your credit card for now?" Each time Evelyn hesitated, the calls abruptly ceased, and the visits grew colder. Then, after a few days, the warmth would return, as if nothing had ever happened. This isn't genuine care. This is a cycle, a deeply ingrained pattern. The most heartbreaking aspect is that people like Evelyn, kind, patient, uncomfortable with confrontation, rarely draw a definitive line. So, the pattern repeats. And with each repetition, the emotional cost escalates. But here lies the turning point, when Evelyn began journaling, meticulously documenting every request, every shift in her daughter's behavior. She started to see it with crystal clarity. Not a random storm, but a calculated system. The same principle applies to your own life. The moment you cease making emotional excuses and begin examining the objective data of behavior, you stop being confused and begin to become truly conscious. And let's be unequivocally clear, forgiving the same offense repeatedly is not a display of strength, it is surrender. A Stoic does not surrender their hard-won peace to another's dysfunction. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, profoundly stated, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. But it is not your responsibility to impart truth to those who steadfastly refuse to see it. Your profound task is to recognize truth when it reveals itself, over and over and over again. Because some people aren't genuinely sorry. They are simply comfortable. They don't truly desire your forgiveness. They crave your silence. They seek continued access to you without any personal change. So, here is your course of action. Stop engaging in futile arguments about their excuses. Stop debating their intentions. Instead, begin listening intently to what their actions have already unequivocally shown you. Behavior is truth. Patterns are proof. And your peace is beyond price." Reason 3. Boundaries are self-respect, not cruelty. Let's clarify something once and for all. Setting boundaries is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is an embodiment of character. It is an unwavering act of self-respect. But here lies the pervasive problem. If you have been conditioned to maintain peace at all costs, to always accommodate, to consistently be the bigger person, then the very moment you utter no, you will inevitably be assailed by guilt. You will feel as though you are the source of the problem. You will begin to question yourself. Am I being too harsh? What if they get upset? What if I lose them? But here's the profound truth that most people never vocalize. If someone chooses to leave your life because you enforced a healthy boundary, they were only ever present because you didn't have one in the first place. Let that deeply resonate within you. Why do we struggle so profoundly with boundaries? The roots often run deep, beginning in our early lives. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, where asserting no instantly cast you as the villain, where setting limits meant being labeled selfish, ungrateful, or cold. So now, as an adult, every time you attempt to stand up for yourself, you feel an unsettling sense of betraying someone. But you are not betraying them. You are, at long last, choosing not to betray your authentic self. That is not cruelty, that is profound healing. Dr. Gabor Mate frequently emphasizes how early childhood experiences can hardwire us for certain relational patterns, making boundary setting feel inherently threatening. Consider a real-life example. James, a 42-year-old father of 2. Every Sunday, he visited his aging mother out of respect and love. Yet, without fail, at every single dinner, she would make comments about his appearance. "Are you gaining weight again? You used to look better when you were married. What happened to the old James?" At first, he would laugh it off. Then, he began to avoid eye contact. Eventually, Sunday dinners transformed from an act of love into an experience of dread. One day, mid-meal, he stood up and calmly stated, "Mom, I come here to spend time with you, not to be insulted. If this continues, I won't be joining these dinners anymore." She was utterly shocked. She cried, she accused him of being disrespectful, but the very next week, she didn't utter a single word about his body. She inquired about his children. She listened. that is the transformative power of a boundary. It doesn't always lead to the end of a relationship. Sometimes it marks the beginning of a truly authentic one. Boundaries are not impenetrable walls. They are doors equipped with locks. Stoic wisdom profoundly teaches us that we do not control others. We possess control only over ourselves. But this truth does not imply passivity. It signifies that we become intensely intentional. When someone displays disrespect, the Stoic does not scream, he does not beg, he does not meticulously plot revenge. He simply closes the door, turns the key, and walks away with an unshakable sense of dignity. Because peace isn't found in silence. It's found in carefully discerning who you allow into your sacred space. Here are some practical boundaries that can profoundly safeguard your mental health. If you raise your voice, I will end the conversation. If you continue to arrive late, I will stop waiting. If you disrespect me in front of others, I will not pretend everything is okay. These are not ultimatums. They are immutable truths. You are not punishing them. You are simply articulating what you will and will not tolerate in your life. And here's what you absolutely need to internalize. People who genuinely love you will adjust to your boundaries. People who merely use you will react. But what if I lose them, you might ask? You very well might. But then ask yourself this pivotal question. Is it truly a loss? Or is it a profound relief cleverly disguised as grief? If the only way someone can remain in your life is by consistently ignoring your boundaries, then you are not engaged in a healthy relationship. You are trapped in an emotional hostage situation. A true connection does not demand that you diminish yourself. It necessitates mutual respect, ample space, and unwavering truth. And yes, the fear is real. The guilt can be deafening. But louder than both should be your unyielding inner voice proclaiming, I will not abandon myself to keep someone else comfortable. Reason 4. Enabling isn't kindness, it's slow self-abandonment. The ultimate truth is this. People do not get to treat you however they please and still retain access to your life. You are not cruel for enforcing your inherent worth. You are not cold for valuing your profound peace. You are not broken for finally declaring enough, no more, because boundaries are not acts of rejection. They are acts of profound protection. They are self-respect, intangible action, and sometimes they represent the most powerful act of love you can ever bestow upon yourself. We all yearn to believe the best in others. We all desire to extend second chances. And when we love someone deeply, we want to believe that love alone possesses the power to fix them. But here is the stark Stoic truth, seldom acknowledged. There exists a thin, treacherous line between being genuinely supportive and being tragically complicit, between authentic compassion and destructive enabling. All too often, what we mistakenly label as understanding is in reality just fear. Fear of conflict, fear of change, fear of the terrifying act of walking away. This is the insidious trap of quiet endurance. You continue to forgive. You continue to explain. You continue to absorb the damage, mistakenly calling it love. But all you are truly doing is protecting them from the natural, inevitable consequences of their own actions. And what precisely happens when someone is perpetually shielded from consequence? They do not grow. They do not reflect. They simply repeat their patterns over and over. Because why would they ever change if nothing ever truly demands it of them? Dr. Brené Brown's research on shame and vulnerability underscores how vital it is for individuals to experience the consequences of their actions to foster true growth and accountability. Imagine this scenario. You have a grown son. He constantly borrows money but never bothers to repay it. He routinely forgets birthdays but always expects gifts. He raises his voice, yet you say nothing, justifying it with, "He's just stressed." You continuously reassure yourself that he will mature eventually, that he just needs support, that he has so much potential. But year after agonizing year, nothing changes. Now ask yourself, is he truly the problem? Or has your pervasive silence become his tacit permission? Enabling may wear the guise of love, but it is not genuine. True compassion does not involve secretly cleaning up their messes in the dark. It means shining a bright light on the situation and unequivocally stating, "This behavior cannot continue, and I will no longer protect you from its consequences." But that's incredibly difficult, isn't it? Because the moment you draw that line, they will attempt to guilt trip you. They will accuse you of changing. They will cry, they will lament, "I thought you loved me." But Stoicism profoundly reminds us, love without truth is manipulation. Compassion without crystal clear boundaries leads to chaos. And enabling is never an act of love. It is an act of fear. It's wearing kindness like a deceptive mask. What does enabling truly cost you? It costs you your precious energy, your restful sleep, your essential boundaries, your inviolable dignity. You find yourself constantly walking on eggshells. You sacrifice your own legitimate needs. You dilute your very essence to keep someone else comfortable, but most dangerously, it robs them of the invaluable opportunity to grow. You are not helping them, you are merely delaying their inevitable reckoning. You are removing the very friction they desperately need in order to evolve. And ironically, the more you save them from consequences, the more they may come to resent you, because deep down, they know they are not truly facing life as it is meant to be lived. So how does a Stoic embody authentic compassion? By calmly stating, "You are free to make your choices, but I am equally free to choose how I respond. I will not prevent you from hurting yourself, but I will unequivocally prevent you from hurting me. I care deeply, but not at the expense of my own peace." Because the most potent form of love is not over-erasure. It is not endless, unconditional forgiveness. It is boundaries delivered with a steady voice. It is truth spoken without apology. It is the quiet, unwavering resolve that firmly declares, "I love you, but I love myself too, and I steadfastly refuse to disappear within your dysfunction." Reason 5. Your peace is non-negotiable. A final crucial reflection, ask yourself, if nothing ever changes, what will this relationship truly resemble in 5 years? What vital parts of yourself will you have irrevocably lost just to cling to someone who steadfastly refuses to change? Is that truly love, or is it fear cleverly disguised as sacrifice? The answer to these questions is your compass. So no, enabling is not kindness. It is a slow, agonizing self-abandonment. And it is not your responsibility to rescue someone from the pain they have created for themselves. Your profound duty is simply not to stand in its way. Because sometimes, the greatest gift you can bestow upon another person is the profound opportunity to face their own reflection, unhindered by your presence. Let it unfold. Let them learn. Let the consequences speak far louder than you ever could. And most importantly, let yourself go free. You do not require their apology to move forward. You only need your own unwavering decision. There comes a pivotal moment in life when you cease waiting. Waiting for them to finally get it. Waiting for them to magically change. Waiting for that elusive apology you know deep down will never materialize. And in that profound moment, you realize something that utterly transforms everything. You do not need their permission to protect your sacred peace. Let that truth deeply permeate your being. You do not need their validation to courageously walk away. You do not need their understanding to set a firm boundary. You do not need their approval to finally be free. The crushing weight of waiting is immense. So many individuals live their entire lives in an emotional limbo, perpetually holding their breath, fervently hoping that one day the person who hurt them will finally see the light. But hope without tangible evidence transforms into a cruel cage. And while you wait, they continue to live their lives unburdened. They continue to cross your boundaries, and you continue to shrink yourself to accommodate their comfort. The Stoics would famously ask, why do you outsource your precious inner peace to the very person who stole it in the first place? Consider the poignant story of Carl's quiet collapse. Carl was a soft-spoken man in his 70s, a widower, the kind of man who still thoughtfully offered neighbors coffee just in case they dropped by. His adult son began visiting more frequently after Carl's health declined. He claimed it was to help, and initially it was, but little by little, it insidiously evolved into complete control. Control over who Carl could visit, what he could say, what money was spent on, what decisions he was allowed to make. Carl, wishing to avoid conflict and fearing the loss of his son, remained silent for over a year, until one day he confided in a friend, "I feel like a guest in my own home." He hadn't set boundaries. He hadn't said no, not because he was weak, but because he mistakenly believed that love meant endless tolerance. Doesn't. Love without boundaries is not love. It is quiet self-erasure. And Carl's story is not an anomaly. It is yours. It is mine. It is the story of everyone who has ever chosen unspoken tension over uncomfortable truth, simply because we were terrified of losing someone we never truly possessed. Peace is not given. It is deliberately chosen. Here's what Stoicism powerfully teaches us. You do not require a specific reason to protect your peace. You only need the sheer courage to stop explaining it. You do not need to prove that someone is toxic. You do not need to meticulously list the receipts of their behavior. You do not even need them to understand, because sometimes the most profound statement you can make is silence, a closed door, a missed call, a life lived without ever needing to be seen by those who were never truly looking in the first place. The shift from guilt to freedom is transformative. Will you feel guilty? Yes, you likely will, because you were taught that choosing yourself was selfish, that drawing a firm line made you cold, that peace was only earned after everyone else was completely okay. But ask yourself this crucial question. If nothing about them ever changes, what needs to change within you so that you can finally find peace? That answer is your unwavering guide. That answer is your stoic act of profound courage. This is the radical shift from mere reaction to true liberation. When you stop waiting for them to fix things and begin fixing your own boundaries, something truly radical occurs. You stop endlessly rehearsing comebacks in your mind. You stop desperately craving closure from people who cannot even spell it. You cease living in a constant state of emotional reaction and begin living in deliberate truth. You walk lighter. You breathe deeper. You remember precisely who you are, unburdened by the crushing weight of their dysfunction on your shoulders. And that right there, that quiet, powerful return to your own center, is what true power feels like. Final thought. You don't need their apology. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect timing, the perfect excuse, or the perfect words. You just need one singular thing: the courage to choose peace without asking anyone if it's okay. Let go of waiting, let go of wishing, let go of them, Because your peace is not negotiable, not anymore. They lied, they disrespected you, they crossed the line again and again, and you stayed, you explained. You gave them time, space, and the benefit of every single doubt. But now you see it with absolute clarity. Kindness without boundaries morphs into self-destruction. Forgiveness without consequence becomes a free pass. And love without self-respect transforms into your slow, agonizing erasure. The truth is, they may never apologize. They may never truly comprehend what they did. They may never witness the broken version of you who suffered in silence. And that profoundly is okay. Because now, you don't need their permission. You don't need them to change. You only need one thing: the resolute choice to stop bleeding for people who never bothered to bring you a bandage. From this moment forward, you don't chase closure, you become it. You don't seek peace, you protect it. You don't repeat lessons, you enforce consequences. Gently. So, when someone inevitably asks, "But don't you think they deserve another chance?" you answer like a true Stoic, "Maybe, but I deserve peace more." If this message resonated deeply within you, if it awakened something profound in your soul, then this isn't just another video. It is your line in the sand. Subscribe to the Chill Stoic, where we don't chase noise, we cultivate clarity. Comment below, what's one boundary you're finally ready to honor? Share this with someone who desperately needs to hear it, someone who has been strong for far too long. And always remember, mercy is not weakness, but neither is allowing chaos to maintain its undeserved place at your table. You have given enough.